A wintry day on the banks of the Illinois River. We're at Detweiler Park in Peoria. The Sports Channel brings you the 48th running of the Illinois State High School Association Cross Country Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Stalker, and welcome as Sports Channel for the 5th straight year brings you highlights of the 4 races that we'll have in the State Cross Country Series. Alongside me is Jim Blaney, and folks can probably see the snow is coming down here. It's early November. The temperature right now hovering in the mid-30s, but right now the kids are psyched at the starting line because this is what they have worked for all year long.
That's exactly right, Tom. Weather is no factor whatsoever in this race because it doesn't matter. You work all year long for this, as you mentioned. You know the weather might be a little bit dicey when you get to November, so you're prepared for it. The good teams, they don't practice inside ever. They always go outside. They get ready for a day like this. The weather is not a factor to the real competitors in this race.
We'll crown champions on 4 levels. We'll have boys and girls champions for both A and AA. Of course, you have the individual battle, which we'll be seeing a lot of out on the course, but you also have the team battle. And in this sport, like golf, it's the low score that wins.
And the thing about this sport, more so than any other, this is the most team-oriented sport of them all. And the reason why is because if you don't have a solid 5th person, or 5 solid people all together, you don't have a chance. So you got to run together, you got to stick together, you got to be like a team. As a matter of fact, that 5th person oftentimes is more important than the #1 runner.
You're right. If that 5th person is 30 places behind your pack, that's an additional 30 points that you may not be able to overcome.
That's right. And to total up the scores, it's very simple. You take the places of the runners, total them up, low score wins. It's very simple.
First of our 4 races coming up, it'll be the Class A girls. Back as Sports Channel coverage continues from Peoria after this. Our first race of the day, the Class A girls finals, and with this one we figure pretty much was a battle between 3 individuals.
That's right. Before we talk about the individuals, talk about the team, because this one's wide open. Now that we've said that, yeah, let's talk about the individuals. Sue Gibson, she's a defending champ. She's expected to come in and do very well. Another person to keep an eye on is Susan Page, a very strong runner. She likes to go out early and go ahead. One of the questions about her is, can she maintain the pace and hold off the other people who are expected to do well here?
Kathy Greenfield last year was one of the top finishers. She was running for Timothy Christian a year ago. She's now at Westmont, and she is not only figuring individually, but also her team figures to be battling in there as well.
Which is something key to keep in mind, because if you are a top individual, but you've also got to think about the team race, you can't run as aggressively as you normally might be able to if you're just here on your own for an individual title.
Let's take a look now at the finish of the Class A girls race. Page did go out early as we figured. In fact, Susan Page of Elmwood set the pace for just about the first half of the race, but Sue Gibson went alongside her all the way.
And Kathy Greenfield was there most of the way, ended up finishing 3rd. She ran a very strong race, but dropped back in the end.
Tina Congo of Seneca came on with a very strong finish and just edged Greenfield there at the shoot for 2nd place. But Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland was the winner in our Class A girls finals. And in girls Class A, Susan Page indeed finished 5th. The junior from Elmwood, a time of 12:35. Janet Mangu of Winnebago was 4th at 12:34. Kathy Greenfield, again a top 5 finish. The senior from Westmont finished at 12:29. Tina Congo of Seneca, the sophomore, just 2 seconds ahead of Kathy at 12:27. And successfully defending her championship from a year ago was Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland, and I talked to her about the pressure involved with defending that championship. Sue, obviously, when you're the defending champion, everybody's shooting for you, and personally, there's only one way you can go, and that's down. There had to be a lot of pressure on you going into this race today.
I had a lot of pressure. I had more than last year. I knew that Kathy Greenfield and Tina Congo were going to be out there, and so I usually don't have that much pressure when I race, but this one I got really nervous about.
Sometimes in the Class A level, when you're running, sometimes if you are one of the more talented runners, it's tough to find competition. Did you find that maybe you were looking for a higher level of competition coming in here today, and you were looking for it maybe to push you a little bit?
Yeah, usually when I run, I don't have much competition because I'm running against all A, and sometimes I'm running against AA. But I've never had a person like Tina Congo to stay up with me for a mile, except for Lindsay Spear, which she was AA.
I hear something from the Chicago Bulls, 3-peat, maybe 4-peat before your career is over. I guess you worry about 3-peat before you worry about 4-peat. But obviously now, 2-time state champion in your level, the pressure's going to be even more on you next year.
Yeah, I think it will, but I don't think it'll be as tough as this year, because some people thought that I was a fluke last year when I won. You know, it was just good luck. You know, I had luck and stuff. But this year I found out that wasn't really luck, and that I can do it, and that next year it'll be easier. And as you can see, it was a very close battle for the team title in girls Class A, as Sandwich finished 5th at 149. Herscher
was fourth with 133 points, just 3 points behind third place Westmont. Byron, one of the pre-race favorites, finished in second at 126, and Winnebago came home with the team trophy with 119 points. Winnebago won the title back in '89, and I visited with head coach Roger Fredrickson. Roger, this year the Class A girls team race was a wide open one to begin with, and you probably had an idea that if things fell together for your team, you could come away with the trophy.
Yeah, we looked at the situation that there would be a lot of players. We had a lot of teams that we were thinking about and looking at, and in the final analysis, when it came out, it was close, and we were lucky to be on top.
What did you feel had to happen for your team for you to come away with a trophy, and what did happen for you out there?
It had to be a solid team balance. We knew that we had to be strong all the way through. We've had a tremendous job this year improving from our girls that have been in the 4, 5, 6, and 7 range, and they moved up tremendously, and it was a total team effort.
You have a rather young team, too, a good team that you feel you can probably build on for the future.
We're always looking to build, but at the same time, we're realistic. We know that Byron is young. We know that Westmont is young. They're all young. Everybody's coming back.
Going head-to-head with Byron, if you knew, in fact, you had lost to them a couple of times. They'd beaten you earlier in the conference as well, and going head-to-head with them probably had to be good competition for you.
Absolutely. I told our kids all along that if nothing else, if we reached for the stars and kept chasing Byron, who was ranked second in the state when we were ranked 11th, if we kept chipping away and getting closer and closer, that eventually we might pull them in.
This says something pretty good about cross-country in your neck of the woods.
It's been a real challenge. It's always interesting. Every weekend when you go out there, there are big bangers out there in the Big Northern.
Congratulations, Roger. Enjoyed. A tremendous dream come true for you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks very much.
Our next race here today will be for the Class A boys title, and you've got a group of individuals right now, really a wide-open race in May, because Jason McKinney of Georgetown Ridge Farm is the top returning finisher. He was 6th a year ago, but this really could be anybody's race.
That's right, as far as the individuals are concerned, and we talk about it being an individual and a team race, and there's no better example of it than in this race, because you've got some strong individuals, but none of them are really associated with any of the top teams. And the top teams in this race, Normal University High, they've been having a great year. You've also got Oregon, they've been having a great season themselves, and also St. Joseph Ogden, the two-time defending state champions in Class A. They're back, and they've got another good team this year. Normal
U High beat some double-A competition earlier this year in the Bloomington Intercity meet. They won their regional by scoring only 19 points. They seem to be building momentum at the right time.
Yeah, to give you a feel for how good 19 points is, 15 is the lowest you can get. So if you get 19, you're doing pretty darn good.
Individually, who might challenge Jason McKinney? Well, maybe Jeff Erickson of Eureka, who was 24th a year ago, could be one of the contenders. Maybe one of the dark horses out of the suburban Chicago area could be Bailey out of Westmont.
Yeah, and it's all a matter in this race of what they decide to do at the pace, because remember, the individuals don't have to bring a team with them, so the individuals can really do whatever they want.
We're ready to go now to the starting line for the Class A boys state finals. We are now getting ready for the boys Class A as they're at the starting line, and maybe, Jim, this is probably when you feel the elements the most. You're nervous, you're anxious, and they are off in the boys Class A, because right now when you come down the stretch, that heats you up pretty quickly.
That's right. By the time they get down to the bottom of this hill town, they ought to be warmed up, and by then they're not going to be feeling the weather at all if they're properly warmed up. Really, the weather is more of a mental thing, how you overcome it, how you handle it, because really by this point, you should only be thinking about the race, and you look at the schedule early in the year, you know you're going to be out here in November, you know the weather might be bad, and you practice for it. So really, once you get down the first 400 meters, it doesn't make any kind of a difference at all.
Exactly. Cold temperatures and snow, not exactly a surprise, especially the last few years here at Detweiler Park in Peoria. Different philosophies as they head down the straightaway. Some cut out to the outside, some immediately shoot towards the middle. There have been all different kinds of philosophies in terms of how you position yourself when you battle that pack coming down this initial quarter-mile straightaway.
You just don't want to get pinned on the inside of this first turn. It's very tight. It narrows very quickly. And one thing to keep in mind for some of the individual favorites in the race, like Jeff Erickson, Jeremy Parks, and Chris Bailey, they're all in the lower chutes, chutes 2 and chute 6, and that makes it very tough. They want to make sure they don't get pinned to the inside. You can see some of the runners even moving to the outside because you get a little more room out there, and you don't stand a chance of getting run over or pinned in where you don't want to be. Certainly, it's still early in the race, but Chris Bailey looking very strong. One thing you want to do, especially on a day when it's cold, is keep your eyes on the position of the runner's hands. If they're up high and they're pumping, that's a good sign. That means they're strong. That means they're not running into any problems. When they start to droop down, when the head starts to bob back and forth, that means they're starting to wear out. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through the race, especially since Chris Bailey is just tearing it up as we go along.
He went past the half mile at 2:16, and he has about a 5-second edge over the pack. When you do shoot out early like he has done here, it's a gamble. It's a gutsy gamble, because you're going to say, all right, come and get me, everybody. But on the other hand, if it's not there, if you're not feeling as good, then suddenly here you are barely a third of the way into this race, then suddenly you go, I'm in trouble.
Here's something else to keep in mind for Chris Bailey. He doesn't have to drag a team along with him. For the people who are involved in teams that have a shot at this thing, they can't afford to do what Chris Bailey's doing because they absolutely cannot afford to burn themselves out. Chris Bailey, he's here by himself. He's here to win an individual title, and he can just take it out by himself and not worry about whether his teammates are coming with him, as some of the other runners have to do.
And as they come out of the North Diamond at 7:58, it is still Chris Bailey of Westmont with the lead. But good job done there by Eureka's Jeff Erickson. He has pulled now to just a second behind him, and this is becoming a two-runner race.
Jeff Erickson did a great job. He's just staying in touch. There's a ways to go in the race. He's got plenty of time to make a move. The question is Chris Bailey going to be able to hold anything off? But Jeff Erickson is being smart. He knows there's no sense in burning him out, that it is a two-person race. Just hang in there and make a big push at the finish.
And back in third and fourth are still Ty Scherler and Scott Poston, the duo from Elmwood, again running as individuals.
Yeah, Chris Bailey knows he's in a race. You saw him right there. Look back to see exactly where Erickson was. He knows he's back there, but once again, he's in first. He can't see exactly where he is, and he does not know when or if Erickson is going to make his move.
Could it be at this point here that Bailey's decision to go out fast early could come back to haunt him?
It could come back to haunt him, but on the other hand, he's still leading at this point of the race, and if his strategy was to make people run him down, it's working so far. It seems to be right now a question of can he hold on, because Erickson is moving up and he is closing.
When we watched him go into the North Loop, I thought a team that looked really strong was Georgetown Ridge Farm, as well as Breeze Central. But that's North Loop has seemed to where a lot of the team battles tend to sort themselves out.
Let me tell you something else about looking back like Bailey did right there. It takes energy to look back. It slows you down. You can't keep your pace going. So Bailey, that might be a sign that he knows he's in a little bit of trouble, that he keeps looking back to see where Erickson is.
Jason McKinney, another one of our pre-race favorites, is sitting well back in fifth place in a three-runner race back there. It's becoming now a two-man race between Chris Bailey of Westmont and Jeff Erickson of Eureka. We're at 9:43.
We're just about to the 2-mile mark.
We're coming at the 2 miles. As we approach 2 mile, we're at 9:54, 9:55.
And you see Bailey now.
9:58 at 2 miles.
You see Bailey now. He's looking a little gassed. All of a sudden, he's looking like maybe he did go out a little too quick. And the thing Erickson wants to do, too, as he tries to pass Bailey, Erickson wants to look strong. Pass that seed of doubt in Chris Bailey's mind. Make him think that you're the stronger runner at this point. That way, if you move out ahead, maybe you can psych him out a little bit. But I'll tell you what, Chris Bailey is staying right with Erickson.
So right now, they're at 15-minute pace. It's a slow race right now.
And we're going uphill just a little bit, and the pace is starting to slow just a little. And remember, the finish of this race is a little bit uphill. That tends to favor the stronger runner. You saw Erickson go to the outside of the tree as they made the turn. That's a good move. It's always easier to take a turn a little bit on the outside, and Erickson did a good job of setting it up and getting to the corner.
Jeff Erickson was 24th a year ago, and he has had a strong season this year, winning individual titles at the Peoria Woodruff Invitational, which is right here at Detweiler. He was also the winner at Dunlop's Invitational. He ran 15:54, winning the Monmouth Invitational. Also was the winner at Delavan and won that very prestigious Columbus Day Invitational at Amboy. He had an 18-second win there at 15:21 and also had a victory at the Kewanee Regional. So Jeff Erickson of the Eureka Hornets is right up there, stride for stride, with Westmont's Chris Bailey.
And you always hear about second wind. This is what you're seeing from Chris Bailey right now. Going up the hill, coming toward the 2-mile mark, he looked a little gassed. He looked like he was running into a little bit of trouble. Got his composure on the top part of the course. Now that we're going downhill again, he's trying to get back into his stride and get into a tempo.
We're at 11:39. into the boys' Class A state finals. When it looked early like Bailey was going to run away and hide from the pack, a great job by Erickson of making up the ground and not apparently spending a lot of energy to do so.
And not panicking. He saw Bailey go out. He was apparently very comfortable with his race strategy. Said, hey, got plenty of time to reel him in. I know I'm one of the top runners in the state. I know I can get this guy. And this has been a great race. These guys are going toe-to-toe, and right now, it looks like Chris Bailey has got the better part of it. He looks strong again. He's got his arms up, and all of a sudden, Erickson's arms starting to flail a little bit. As you can see, Bailey's starting to widen out his margin.
Bailey's looking very relaxed, running very loose, and he is starting to stretch out his lead a little bit. He's gonna try to break Erickson right here before they make the turn for home.
And you see the head of Erickson starting to bob around a little bit, and Chris Bailey now gave a quick look back, saw that he was pulling away. He has not looked back since. You've worked all along to get a chance at state and win a state title. Whatever he's got left, you better start using it right now, because Chris Bailey is starting to pull away even farther. And I'll tell you what, Chris Bailey is really going to have the monkey jump on his back not to win this race.
13:32, and right now he has got about a 7-second edge over Erickson. That move he made on that one north loop, well, not the north loop, but that one north leg before the turn for home seemed to be the move that has put Bailey well in command. In fact, he right now has opened up about an 8-second edge over Erickson, and he's on his way down the home stretch with about 200 meters to go. We're at 14 minutes, and it's going to be Westmont's Chris Bailey here in the boys' Class A. So he goes from 10th a year ago when he ran 15:27. He's got a chance to maybe better that time by about 45 seconds.
And this has got to be the best feeling in the world, because he's coming in, he can soak it all in now. He doesn't have to push it and worry about somebody coming up on him. He can just enjoy the moment.
And you can see the crowds lined up all the way up and down. This is a great fans course here at Detweiler Park. Scott Bailey of Westmont, Jeff Erickson back in second, and then again the two Elmwood runners battling for third and fourth. And we will bring them in. We're at 14:40. As they come down the chute, Chris Bailey, who battled some A and AA competition in the suburban Chicago area there at Westmont, and it paid off. He wins at 14:55 unofficially. Here comes Erickson in second.
Jeff Erickson ran a great race. He used good strategy. He just got beat by a stronger runner today.
He finishes at about 15:06. Here comes Ty Scherler of Elmwood. He has been one of Class A's elite distance runners the last couple of years. He comes in at 15:14. Fourth place, there's Joe Parks of Galatia. And then Jason McKinney comes in there in fifth, followed by Scott Poston of Elmwood.
Tell you what, Tom, there really isn't anything shaking out so far as the team race is concerned. We've seen a lot of guys coming in solo.
Here come two pioneers from Normal University High. In fact, here come their first three runners.
They're one of the favorites to get to this race. They have three guys that are all underclass, and they're their top runners: Jim Donovan, Ken Anderson.
And here comes Lutkehaus right here, John Lutkehaus. They've got three in. And let's see about their fourth and fifth runners. Usually the fourth and fifth position is where the state title is won or lost.
And here they come right now. So it looks like,
yes,
the Pioneers have got a good pack going. Looks like they got everybody in the top as far as we can see.
Here comes Greg Yeagle and Nick Barrows. So it looks like Normal University will win unofficially the Class A team title. And here are the top five boys team finishers in Class A. Winnebago finishing in fifth with 188 points. The two-time defending champs, St. Joseph Ogden, finishing fourth this year, 131 points. Chrisman, with a third-place finish, brought home a trophy, 122 points. Oregon, who was rated number two, finished number two with 82 points. And Normal University High finished with the title, number one ranked, and they came away with the state championship with a total of 72 points. And afterwards, I visited with their head coach, Lester Hampton. Lester, I remember talking to you last year when your team was one of the favorites and you came away with a disappointing fourth-place finish. Was that the big motivating factor that really pushed this whole program along? Because you just steamrolled the competition this year like you were a team on a mission.
I think it was definitely a factor. Again, last year going into the state meet, we had beaten the three teams who turned around and beat us at the state meet. And it was, I mean, unless you are part of that team, you really can't understand the tremendous disappointment we felt. So it had to be a motivation over the summer because these guys really went out and ran a lot of miles.
Well, you came right out here. You won your first big meet, winning right here at Detweiler at the Woodruff Invitational, and that probably had to give you a sign that this season could be the year that you could have it all together.
Well, at the beginning of the year, we really weren't sure how good we could be. But we had a lot of people step forward throughout the year who ran an extra mile or two during the week outside of practice, and that really helped. And our team around conference regional time really came together.
Any surprises for you today? Did anybody come through that really you felt had to be the big key for your team to win?
Yes, we had a young man, Greg Yeagle, who has run in the state meet for us twice as a freshman and sophomore at sectional. He was our sixth man, and he was a little bit disappointed in that. And today he really stepped forward and got back in the position where he should be, which was our fourth man, and that really helped us.
Coming into this race today, looks like you and Jeff Erickson were pretty much side by side. Then you made your move back there towards the North Diamond.
Yeah, he started picking up the pace, and I tried to stay with him, and I did. And I just kept the pace, and he started dropping back, so I started making my move then.
There was one move. He tried to break it one time.
Yeah, he tried picking up the pace, and I stayed with him, and I was able to.
You stayed right there off his shoulder, right off the left side. It seems to be a good spot to be.
Yeah, it's his blind spot. He doesn't know. I don't know if he could have seen me or not, but it's a good spot to lose your runners if they think they can not see me. So.
Did this race go according to the way you thought it might going into it?
Yeah, I used the turns to sprint away when they weren't able to see me as a blind spot, and those helped me out a lot. With the people who can hang on, I sprint the corners, and that helps me out a lot.
Being an underclassman, you have a chance to defend your title. You'll be the one they'll be shooting at next year.
Yeah, it's I like the competition. It's gonna be fun. I hope I'll be able to do it again next year.
Chris, congratulations.
Thanks, you.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented for the entertainment and non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the written consent of Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. Next up, it'll be the AA girls final, and looking for its fifth straight win, the Palatine Pirates. They've been steamrolling the competition all season long.
They have won everything, Tom, but keep this in mind. Even though they won last weekend, they didn't look that impressive in doing it. So there might be some hope for some other teams. Who might step up? Naperville North has got a very good team this year. They're led by Kristen Devaney. She was very strong at the state meet 1 year ago. Another team from the DuPage Valley who's pretty good and might make some noise because they've got a good #1 girl is Glenbard North. So Palatine is the heavy favorite in this race, but there's a couple of teams that could step up and fill the void if Palatine falters at all.
And Palatine has a couple of girls that could contend for the individual titles, Claudia Bouquet and Carolyn Kearns, but Jenny Zare, who was second a year ago, would have to rate as the odds-on favorite because, indeed, she's the highest returning favorite, and she has done a great job this fall. Perhaps some of the other competitors could be Laura Esco of Glenbard North, who has had some strong finishes out in the western suburban area.
And really, for her team to have any kind of a shot, she really has to have a good race because they've got to get her up there and get a low point total to allow the other girls a chance to move up and help the team out.
But familiarity with the course could also be a factor for somebody like Janelle Detheridge of East Peoria. She knows this course. She's very comfortable around here. This is not a new situation for her, and that could be a factor for her.
Could be a factor as well. Hey, local knowledge counts for something. I'm sorry, I don't care what sport you're in. If you have an advantage when you're really playing on your home field, and Janelle has that opportunity in this race.
The gun is up. Let's go down to the starting line for the girls' AA finals. We're underway now in the girls' AA, the 2.1-mile race around Detweiler Park. And, Jim, now the snow a little heavier, and it's starting to gather on the grass.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom, because I got here a little late this morning, I had to come running down this hill to try and find our crew. And it's slick. It's a little bit slippery when the snow starts to pile up. Of course, most of the runners are wearing spikes, but even still, the spikes aren't that long. You can have a little bit of a problem coming down the hill if you're not careful, especially with the adrenaline going. You're excited. You want to get started. You want to get going. So you do have to be a little careful coming down this hill.
I wish we had pictures of that. It was the one time you were ahead of the pack.
And it took me 13 years to get to the state meet, and I finally made it. I was very proud of myself.
Now you see this pack right now, Jim, staying pretty much in one solid group. Nobody is splintering off to the right or to the left. in that philosophy of trying to avoid getting pinched in this very first turn.
And the teams to watch in this race, Palatine, Naperville North, Glenbard North, Libertyville, Wheaton, they're all about the middle of the pack as far as the starting grid was concerned. So they all drew pretty decent starting positions, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem for any of them. But you're seeing far out to the left of the screen, number 172, that's Jenny Monaco of Palatine, and right behind her is number 174, Claudia Baquet. They're doing the smart thing. They're staying out of trouble or staying off to the right of the runners to our left as you look at on the screen.
Also, you see one of our favorites, Laura Esco of Glenbard North. She's in the black and the yellow, and also running up there from Hinsdale Central is number 521. That is Capricia Kirk.
You want to keep an eye on the Palatine girls in this race. They are by far the favorites in this race. They've won everything they've entered so far this year. But of course, you get to state and some weird things can happen, and it was good to see, at least from their race strategy standpoint, that they decided to stay out of trouble. They're not running out and pressing the pace. They're trying to stay together a little bit. So far, good race strategy by the Palatine girls.
Nobody wants to jump out in the lead as we make the turnaround to the area behind the starting line. They make the turn. Claudia Baquet now has moved up on the outside. She's wearing number 174. And also, Janelle Detheridge, a local favorite from East Peoria, has moved up into the front of the pack.
Claudia Baquet now starting to take a little bit of control. Obviously, she felt the pace was a little bit slower than she was comfortable with, so she's going to push it a little bit here and see who comes with her and see if she can pick up the pace of this race a little bit.
Also, Kristen Devaney has moved up as well. She's from Naperville North. Right now, she's running about 5th.
And really, if this shakes out the way we expect it to, Kristen Devaney and Claudia Baquet and Carolyn Kearns of Palatine should be the people we see moving up to the front of the pack. We're almost a mile into the race. We haven't even mentioned Carolyn Kearns yet.
And Allison Boyne, who has had several stellar wins this year out of New Trier. She's moved up on the outside. We see her on the right side of your screen. Now she's moved back into the pack.
I'll tell you what, we got a great team race going too, Tom, because the Palatine girls are all up in the front of the pack. The Naperville North girls are all right together too, so the team race is very exciting as well.
And I think the slow pace is helping that. We're at 5:23 right now as we approach the first mile. Again, they run 2.1 miles. And right now, moving up to the front, looks like we have a new leader. That's Elizabeth Campy out of Decatur MacArthur. Now, she had an impressive win in the Edwardsville sectional, an extremely hilly course, and she blew away the competition down there, which opened the eyes of many to the possibility of her being a favorite in this race.
And her team also won their sectional, so that's very good from the team standpoint. So far we've had a lot of leaders. Apparently, no one is comfortable in this race yet. That's what happens when you see a lot of leaders. People are trying to establish, okay, do I want to go out and take the lead for a little while? Do I want to try and establish my rhythm? If they don't like what they see up at the front, they drop back and let somebody else try and take over, because once again, it's very difficult to lead.
Jim, they're getting ready to head off to the North Loop, and I think this is where this whole race is going to be sorted out right here. As you see, Elizabeth Campy of Decatur MacArthur moving up, Janelle Detheridge, Lara Esco, then Bridget Beitrin also now moving up towards the front. All of our favorites are right up there.
And a great team race, too. It's Palatine and Naperville North right together. The team race is very tight at this point.
And now as they come out of the North Loop, we're at 9:10, and coming out of there with the lead is Elizabeth Campy of Decatur MacArthur. And right with her, stride for stride, Janelle Detheridge of East Peoria.
If they're smart, they'll stick together, because if they stick together, they'll be able to pull away from the pack that's behind them together. And really, this is a point where your competitors can help you out. It's a lot easier to run when you're next to somebody, and these two are starting to pull away from the field a little bit, and it starts to discourage the people behind them a little bit, because with the girls' race, because it is 2.1 miles, we're starting to run out of time, and you run out of time in a hurry.
Now back in third place is Collins of Schaumburg, running in fourth, Kristen Devaney, and then Claudia Baquet right now is running fifth. As right now we are 9:58 into the girls' AA state championships finals, and Janelle Detheridge has moved into the lead.
Janelle Detheridge is picking it up, and to be quite honest, she doesn't look like she's expending a lot of effort. She's on cruise control. She looks really good at this point, and I'll tell you what, it looks like she's got a lot left. She can handle anything that comes at her.
Janelle Detheridge taking control. She was 16th a year ago, the time of 12:24. Started off the year with a couple of second-place finishes here at Detweiler in the Peoria Woodruff Invitational, finishing 10 seconds behind Jenny Zare, and also finishing second at the Peoria Notre Dame Invitational here, finishing 5 seconds behind.
And she is really starting to pick it up. She's got this thing in her hands. All she's got to do is keep pumping her arms, keep lifting her knees, stay strong, and she's going to finish this race off. This is one of the most impressive performances I've seen in quite a while.
10:54 right now. She has, in fact, when you're running at this point in the race, Jim, you're running uphill. And she is really finishing strong. Janelle Detheridge won the Mid-Illini Conference title, won the regional title at Pontiac, also won the Belvedere sectional. So Janelle Detheridge of the Raiders of East Peoria, coached by Ed McGraw, is going to win the girls' AA title, and the battle now is for second.
Janelle Detheridge is eating this hill up. She is a good 60 yards in front of second place. Now it's just a matter of finishing it off. This has to be one of the better performances in a state meet. She just took it away from everybody.
She's at 11:37. It's 11:42 unofficially. Finishing second, there's Kristen Devaney. And finishing third was Elizabeth Campy. Finishing fourth is Kelly Collins of Schaumburg. And it looks like finishing in fifth place is number 502, Jenny Zare, the sophomore from Arlington Heights Hersing.
Palatine, Naperville North, and Wheeling appear to be the ones who are in control of the team title, though here come the last. I believe these are Palatine runners numbers 4 and 5.
And here are the top 5 girls, as Claudia Baquet, the senior from Palatine, finished 5th at 11:59. Kelly Collins of Schaumburg, the 4th place finisher at 11:58. Just 3 seconds behind Elizabeth Campy, a sophomore from Decatur MacArthur at 11:55. Kristen Devaney of Naperville North, a junior, finished second at 11:53. And the state champ, a junior from East Peoria, Janelle Detheridge. And I asked her if she felt she could have one of those kind of days it would take to bring home the state championship medal.
I wanted it to be, definitely. That was my goal. It's been my goal for like the past 3 years. It's what I've been working for. So I was hoping, and I had a lot of doubts, but yeah, that was my ultimate goal.
Today you went out and you said, all right, everybody, come and get me.
I guess so. I hadn't planned on making a move so early, but since no one else did, I decided to go ahead.
Were you frustrated with the slow pace?
No, actually, I was kind of relieved. I was afraid everyone was just going to go out like crazy, and I was going to be running to keep up with them.
But the fact is, was kind of your home course. Does that what made you feel comfortable?
Yeah, definitely. I was very comfortable with the course because we practice on it pretty much at least once a week, come out here, maybe twice a week, and then on the weekends race here, so.
Guess what now? You're going to be the one they're all going to be shooting for next year.
Yeah, that'll be difficult. Now I have something to live up to, so it'll be pretty hard.
Here are the top 5 girls AA teams. Libertyville finishing 5th, 178 points, just behind Wheeling, who finished with 175 points. Glenbard North takes away a trophy for the DuPage Valley Conference with 135 points. Palatine unseated after a 4-year run as state champions, finishing second with 86 points. And Naperville North, the Huskies, winning with 78 points. And I talked with their coach, Marty B., and he said, hey, Palatine might have been favored, but this was not an upset victory.
No, I don't call it an upset at all. We, over the last 3 years, have run extremely well. We've lost to 3 teams in 3 years. We lost to Schaumburg 2 years ago. We lost to Palatine and Glenbard North this year in a flight meet. We had beaten Palatine last year in the flight meet. I thought that if our kids ran as well as they were capable of running, that we could be right in there with them.
With a lot of the attention on the Palatines and maybe some other teams, did you kind of feel like maybe, hey, we can come in from the shadows in this meet today and kind of sneak up on people?
No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody was overlooking us. We had won our conference, won our regional and sectional pretty easily, and had been ranked second in the state all year. So I think people knew that we were capable, I think, of running with anybody in the state. Getting ready for our final race of the day, the boys AA finals, and this is how we get around the course and bring you all the action in all our races today. Our urban assault vehicle,
to see if they can fold up Tom Dorr and put him into the back of this thing. That's why we get the job.
If they could get Tom and Johnny into this thing, that'd be a trick.
All right, here in the AA boys, going for their 5th straight championship, the Dukes of York. They're going for their 18th overall. The last time that York did not finish 4th or higher was 1970.
And make no mistake about it, Tom, they're the odds-on favorite. If they run their race, no one's going to beat these guys. They're the best coach team. They're the best team in the state. But you have to prove it on the course, and your coach, Joe Newton, is very aware of that. So you know he's on top of his guys saying, be ready for this race.
He's concerned about the Moline Maroons, who came over there from Western Illinois, ran a lot of Chicago area competition like in the Crete Monet Powwow. They've also run an event here in an invitational to get used to being here at Deadweiler. He's concerned about them. But as he said to me this morning, if the York guys run the way they have the last few weeks, it'll be their race.
That's right, and keep this in mind, too, about York. Here's how good they are. Pat Quinn, the coach at Marist, he took his team to run around York at one point just to show them, hey, that's your competition, that's who you're shooting for, that's how good York is.
St. Charles could also be a factor in the race today as well. Individually now, maybe for the first time in several years, the individual focus is not on runners from the Chicago area, but 2 runners from right here in the Peoria area.
Keep in mind these 2 names, Adam White and Tim Breaux. They are by far the best. They are the guys we should see out in front of the pack.
Adam White was 3rd a year ago, finishing just 6 seconds behind the winner a year ago. Tim Breaux was 5th a year ago. And as we saw in that race, in the AA girls race, that local knowledge can definitely be a factor.
That's right. And also, it makes it a little easier for York, too, I think, to win a team title because they don't have to worry about anybody going after an individual title. They can concentrate on the team concept.
So we're ready for the boys AA. They're ready to go at the starting line. Let's pick up the action. Just a little over a minute into the race as the leaders start to move and position themselves towards the inside to make the turn. And we see Peoria Notre Dame's Adam White already moving to the forefront. And right behind him, Cliff Donaldson of Aurora West, who has had some impressive finishes this year as well. So that's Adam White of Peoria Notre Dame taking the early lead in the first half mile here of the boys' AA finals. Again, they're running 3 miles, essentially 3 loops around the Detweiler Park course, which we haven't had a chance really to talk about the course as much. In terms of cross-country courses, it's a flat course.
That's right. It's not a difficult course. It's not a demanding course. It is a speed course. But the thing that's difficult about it is you do go uphill the last portion of the race. So you can't burn yourself out too early. You can't go out too fast and use up too much, or you're going to be in trouble at the finish.
And we see Tim Breaux now of East Peoria has moved up in the 3rd, right alongside Cliff Donaldson of Aurora West.
Let me explain a little bit about what we might be seeing Adam White do here. This is one strategy that runners will use is they'll take off hard. You see this in track, you see it in cross country, and make everybody chase you because you can make everybody expend a little bit of energy if they have to chase you. Now you see Adam White coming back to the pack. That's not because he's running out of gas or slowing down. He's just simply making everybody use a little energy to catch him.
Right now they're at 2:50.
And exactly as we expected, Breaux and White, they're at the front of the pack, and right now they appear like they're going to control this race all the way.
Right now, we're approaching the mile at 4:29. And we'll pick them up as they come across the mile mark.
These guys are flying. It's a very fast first mile.
Right now, they're at 4:40. Went by the mile at 4:40. And that pace right now puts them at 14-minute pace. The AA best is 13:56.6, so they are indeed running an extremely fast pace right now.
Another interesting factor in this race is these 2 guys are so familiar with each other. They know the other guy's moves. They know the other guy's strengths and weaknesses. It's all a matter of who's got the guts or who maybe can throw a surprise at the other guy the other one might not be expecting.
Now, the runners that are sitting back in that pack, back well behind Donaldson, they're obviously going to gamble that Breaux and White may come back to the pack as they get ready to move to the north loop. It is White, Breaux, Donaldson, then Gunlack, And now we'll watch the team battle as they make this first turn up into the North Loop. Still looking for the rest of the York pack.
We've seen a couple of runners come through from Palatine, but they weren't running in a pack either.
I see two York individuals come through the loop right now.
And there's the rest of the York guys right there. So.
Okay, they're right behind them, so York is looking good. We're at 11-12.
And look at the gap between first and second and going all the way back to third. It might not be a bad idea, conversely, in the strategy I've been talking about, for Adam White to let Bro lead for a while. Let him set the pace. Let him tax himself. And right now it does appear that Bro is just about a shoulder length ahead.
About a half mile to go. We're at 11:38.
In case you're wondering, Adam White is a senior, Bro is a junior. So this is Adam White's last shot. You want to get it done, you're a senior, this is what you've worked for, you don't want to let it slip through your hands. Although Bro now is starting to open up a little bit of distance.
He's starting to make
starting
the move.
to labor, and Adam White is starting to labor just a little bit.
This is about the same part of the boys' A race where the race was decided there too. Just before you make that last turn for home.
What Adam White wants to do right here is just stay in touch. Maybe the race is slipping away from you just a little bit, but stay in touch because you go up that last hill and you can put on that final push. So this race is by no means over, even though Bro has opened up a little bit of a margin. And Craig Gundlach still in third place. So for the team race, York is going to start off. And remember, that's only 1 point because these guys do not have teams with them.
Right.
So Gundlach counts for 1 point right now.
This is the key moment for White right here. He's got to maintain contact here. If he loses contact here, it's over.
He's starting to lose touch right now. You can see on his face it's starting to tense up a little bit. He knows he's got to get something going right now to have any kind of a chance to catch Tim Bro. But look at Bro's face. Still relatively relaxed. Hey, at this point of the race, you feel it. Don't let anybody ever try and tell you that you can be relaxed at this point of the race. The difference is who handles it better, who stays a little looser, who is able to use their muscles and their entire body better. It's just not a matter of moving your legs. You got to pump those arms to bring your legs up, and that is what Tim Bro is doing a great job of doing right now.
We're at 13:24 right now. We're approaching 13:30, and it's going to be Tim Bro of East Peoria. He's going to be undefeated for 1993 and cap it off with the individual state title here in the boys' AA cross-country finals. He comes down the home stretch in front of the long green line of York fans. The title is going to move from the Chicago area to the heart of Illinois in Peoria and East Peoria. Tim Bro coming down the stretch. We're at 14:05.
What a race strategy by Tim Bro. He stayed on White's shoulder, let him set the pace, and now you can see what kind of a difference that can make.
So now here comes Bro at 14:17. As he comes across the finish line in the chute, he's unofficially at 14:22, an outstanding time. Here comes Adam White, second. And his unofficial time will be 14:30. Here comes Bolingbrook's David Gonzalez, the sophomore, finishing third. Here's Gundlach finishing fourth. Gonzalez at 14:44. Gundlach at 14:46.
And here comes the first Palatine runner.
That was Chermak. Chermak will finish about seventh. Here comes York's second runner across the line. And you see some youngsters among the top five in boys AA. The sophomore Clint Cabe of Bloomington finishing fifth at 14:53. Craig Gundlach caps off his York career with a fourth place finish. David Gonzalez, the sophomore from Bolingbrook, the highest Chicago area finisher, finishing third. And then come the two Peoria rivals, Adam White of Notre Dame finishing second, and Tim Bro of East Peoria taking home the state trophy after a fifth place finish a year ago. And he wasn't surprised when it was he and Adam White out in front of the pack.
No, I wasn't. I thought there'd be a couple more people for a while, but we went out and just did it. Right at the half mile, we were there.
Did it seem like the state meet, or did it seem like just another meet here at Detweiler?
It seemed just like another meet at Detweiler.
And that was an advantage for you?
Yes, it was. It was.
Here are the top 5 boys AA teams, with Moline finishing 5th, 253 points. Naperville Central with 225 points was 4th. A surprise 3rd-place finish for Waukegan. The Bulldogs, who finished last in their conference meet a year ago, takes home a state trophy this year with 207 points. Palatine with a surprise 2nd-place finish, 204 points. And Elmhurst York takes home its 18th state championship trophy. Not exactly a glamorous total, 137 points, still good enough to win, and win by nearly 70 points. And Joe Newton says no matter how many times you win it, victory is always sweet.
Tom, how sweet it is. I mean, we were in the depths of depression after the race. As you well know, our 5th guy was 115th, and there's very few years that you can ever win a state title when your 5th guy is 115th. But by the good grace of the Lord, we came through, and there's a lot of luck involved, and I'm a very, very happy guy today.
We were on top of the truck at the finish line, and we saw your first 4 come through, and like you, it took a while to see number 5 come in. We thought maybe an upset was in the making, and yet, as you said, it's probably not often you could do this. Was this an extremely balanced year in terms of the top teams?
Absolutely. I thought there were 5 or 6 teams that had a chance to win today, and as I said in the press conference, we'd had 2 good weeks in a row. It was very hard to be up for 3 in a row, so I was very apprehensive about this race, and we got 4 great races and 3 not so good. But our 5th guy, as poorly as he ran, still beat every other team's 5th guy but 3 teams. So we survived, Tom, and I'll take it. It's just as sweet any way you got it.
We're going to end today the same way we began it, with snow falling on us here at Detweiler Park, but another of America's great high school spectacles, the Illinois State Championships, another chapter has been written.
And we talked so much about team competition today, but let's give a hand to East Peoria. They had 2 individual champions today, and the thing that impressed me the most was the race that Janelle Dethridge ran in the Class AA girls. Just a great race by her, a strong effort. To me, she was the most impressive performer of the afternoon.
And you had a great day today. You finally made it downstate for the state cross country, and you were in the lead for all 4 races.
That's right, and it's something that was very weird to me. It was very enjoyable. 13 years it took me to get here. It was great to finally be a part of this.
Good job, Jim.
Thank you very much. Pleasure working with you, Tom.
So that'll wrap it up for the running of the boys and girls state cross country championships from here at Detweiler Park as part of our continuing coverage of the Sports Channel series of the IHSA State Championships. Today's event has been produced and directed by Bob Albrecht. The executive producer is John Toohey. Remote facility is provided by New Year Productions. For Jim Blaney, this is Tom Stalker. Thanks for joining us. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.